Well, firstly, thanks to Ray for joining us today and presenting with us. So myself and Ray go back, a few years now. I met Ray in 2012 when I was running the Pega consulting business in the UK and Nordics, and Ray was my customer. He was looking after the Pega elements of the simplification project within Lloyd's. And then roll on to October 2015, I had a new job. I joined Incessant, and Ray, you joined Tokio Marine HCC at the time as well as the CIO. So great to give us a quick intro to your organisation and also the transformation programme you're going through at the moment and what you're trying to achieve.
Okay, thanks, Adrian. So Tokio Marine are a specialist insurance company, a number of major lines of business, so London markets, trade credit, surety, UK liability, and financial lines as well, which is things like kidnap and ransom, directors and officers and such like around there. Like many insurance companies, we've grown through acquisition. So we actually have at the moment, or had at the start of the programme, 9 different policy administration and claims systems supporting the various lines of business. Some of them going back sort of 20, 25 years in terms of their age, and a mixture of in-house built applications and third-party products as well. So quite an inefficient technology landscape really for us to support, and quite a lot of risk that we carried as an organisation. We're actually very successful, highly profitable organisation, and a lot of that's through business agility, and the risks that those systems were giving to us were threatening that really as a sort of a long-term sort of strategy. So we undertook a transformation programme. My boss, the COO at the time, it was his vision, probably going back to 2012, 2013. It took him about 3 years to kind of get support for it within the organisation. And what we're implementing is a single technology stack supporting all of the lines of business, omni-channel strategy, so online as well as kind of offline around there as well, and utilising a lot of kind of core and common components across the lines of business as well.
Thanks, Ray. So I think what's interesting when you look at an insurance business, they follow a similar technology stack. So at the bottom of the stack, you've got this system of record, which is a policy admin system. I think in your case, you had 9 different ones.
Yeah.
And it's usually by acquisition or different lines of business. And above that, you've got some services layer, which is usually, we see MuleSoft a lot nowadays. You're using BizTalk. And then sitting on top of this piece, this is where commonly we see Pega. Pega sits as this process layer above the services layer. And then I think when you look at the next layer up, we see a lot of organisations use portals to talk to the outside world, to brokers. And then, either side we see document management as a key tranche of that platform, and document generation. And then lastly, we see things like rating engines. And sometimes those are done within Pega, and sometimes they're done within Excel or bespoke applications. But what I think is fascinating about your business is you're changing everything in one go. Pega talks about wrap and renew. There's no wrap here, it's all renew. Why are you so bold in doing that?
I think that's been driven by, again, the objectives of the programme, which is around de-risking the organisation, and that risk lay in the underlying systems, really. So maintaining those and putting a Pega wrap around those wouldn't really address the major objectives that we're trying to achieve as a programme. So we are changing everything. Well, we're keeping some core components, so document management, we've managed to retain and put a service layer around that. But in terms of the underlying policy administration and claim systems, yes, we're changing those out. We're doing full historic data migrations as well so that we can ultimately decommission the old systems as well and get further benefits from that in terms of cost savings as well.
So I think it's fair to say it's a pretty challenging programme. We've been involved in it for about 1.5 years now. And I think when we reflect back on what is the recipe for success for trying to deliver this kind of program? It breaks down into a number of elements. And the first thing I think, which is remarkable in your organisation, is how important the exec sponsor is. So Nick, who's your boss, the COO, he's a very hands-on but very passionate individual around this program. He's involved in the day-to-day for sure, yeah?
Yeah, he's quite unique, I think, in a lot of ways. It was his vision. He is the exec sponsor from a business point of view. But he's also been Chief Underwriting Officer, CEO of a number of the lines of business. So he's actually operating as a sort of an exec business SME as well for us, which has been hugely beneficial in terms of getting quick decisions, brokering conversations with the lines of business, particularly around trying to achieve common processes across different lines as well. So yeah, he's been key and quite unique, I think.
So the second thing I think in the kind of program that you're running as well, strong program management and understanding the dependencies, because what we find is if you've got the policy admin system changes, then the services change, and then the Pega has to change, and how do you the management of that plan has certainly been a challenge, and I think we've all learned through that journey. I mean the second point, or third point actually, I think is around the passion around having a COE. So one of the first parts of our engagement was to deliver a small COE. It's a couple of people, but they really drive the reuse, and that was really, I think, some of your experience from taking that from the experience in Lloyd's, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we weren't very good at dependency management. We're quite a small outfit around there, so we weren't used to having to manage multiple dependencies across multiple streams. So that was a learning curve for us, a fast one. Around there, the Centre of Excellence, as you say, that was something that we developed within Lloyd's very successfully around there, and we've taken some of that, or I've taken some of that into Tokio Marine HCC as well, with a combination of architects and partner staff as well.
So, moving on to other things that are very important, I think, in delivering what you're trying to do, is, Pega are very, very passionate about this concept of a minimum viable product or a minimum lovable product, and you've managed to get the business to buy into there is more to come. So it's all about getting live within a short period of time, and then knowing they're going to get incremental change. And so you've sort of structured your program with like a capital investment and then a bit of an OPEX, and the OPEX is quite good for going on and on and on, delivering more change, right?
Yes, but it hasn't been easy, and it always comes down to trust. So the only way we've really managed to start to do that effectively is by demonstrating that we can. So the first business line that we implemented, we agreed to do monthly ongoing releases beyond the kind of the main go live around that. And we did that for 6 to 9 months as well, and we put that investment in. So for subsequent lines of business now, we've demonstrated that we will do it, and they're starting to trust us in terms of sort of day one, day two sort of functionality.
And I think the business involvement is key. We've had onshore people in where the people are really doing the work, whether that be in Barcelona or Leicester. So I think everyone's bought into the show and tell, the continually maturing the system as it goes. And you're using the PUI framework, so the Pega Underwriting for Insurance framework. And I think one of the things that's been important is to have people actually understand that technology and understand the strategic framework, so they make best use of those assets, right? I mean, that's been a key thing. I think the last point for me is this magic of pixie dust around UEX, making sure we have someone that's very focused on making it very user intent, and easy to use. And I think that's been part of the secret sauce for driving the success we're having in the account.
Yeah, absolutely. I think show and tells, we ran regular show and tells. We did a sort of iterative development, so typically 3-week build cycles with show and tells at the end of that. And that did help to bring the business with us on the journey. It had its own challenges as well in terms of trying to maintain kind of scope creep as well, because it was an opportunity for that to happen, and we needed to try and contain that as much as possible. But it did help the business understand what we're trying to do, adapt it slightly, and I think the UX bit of it particularly as well, bringing that capability in and giving them a really powerful user experience has been something that they've really appreciated.
So the other thing I find interesting about your account or your business is, if I look at my business or our business today, we have about 50% of our people are onshore working with customers. So there seems to be a much higher engagement now of onshore versus offshore with most of our customers globally. You buck the trend, right? You have 90% of the people are working out of our Hyderabad office and 10% are working in the UK. Why are you different to everyone else, I guess? And how is that working from an agile perspective?
Yeah, in some ways it was a necessity. I couldn't afford to do it any other way around there. And we didn't have a lot of office space either. So those were some of the sort of factors. But what we have relied on very heavily is the expertise and capability of the few onshore staff that we've got. And they really do manage that offshore relationship very effectively. I know they work exceptionally long hours, much longer hours than I care to think about around there. And we also have very regular sort of engagement with the offshore teams as well, both through show and tells, video conferencing as well, to try and make sure that they're kind of part of the team and we don't get that sort of communication gap. But we've worked at it and it is working for us. So.
Okay. And where are you now on the journey? I mean, you've got a number of applications live.
Yeah, we're probably about halfway, I would say. We've got 5 major lines of business. We've implemented 2 already. We've got the 3rd one just going into sort of test now and should go live in the summer. The 4th one, we've started the requirements gathering on around there. And it will probably run till the end of 2019, I think. So it is a long journey, 5 years.
And they're real business applications as opposed to just a top-of-the-tee Pega thing. They're
absolutely
fully functional, rich applications.
End-to-end, yeah. Okay. And decommissioning of the old systems as well.
So the final observation I think I'd have around the use of Pega technology in your organisation is we're making good use of the layer cake, as it's called. We're specialising per lines of business. We're specialising per geography. So I guess the final question, has Pega lived up to the challenge for HCCI Tokio Marine?
I think it has. Definitely one of the successes of the programme. There are a number of areas where it hasn't gone quite so well around there. Reuse has been absolutely fundamental for us in terms of rolling out to multiple lines of business, again, keeping the costs down and keeping the support and maintenance costs down. So if you went to the business or you went to IT, actually, they would say Pega's been a success for us as a programme. So.
Perfect. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.